The saddest sign that your soul is screaming for help isn't pain. It isn't the tears you cry at 3:00 a.m. when the loneliness hits you like a physical blow. It isn't even the overwhelming anxiety that tightens your chest when you think about the future. Those are loud signs. Those are the alarms ringing while the house is still salvageable. No, the saddest sign is much quieter. It is far more terrifying because it looks, to the outside world, like stability. It looks like fine. The saddest sign is the silence. It is the absolute crushing numbness of a life lived on autopilot. It is the moment you stop fighting, the moment you stop dreaming, and the moment you simply accept that this gray, flavorless existence is all there is. It is when you look at the sunset and feel nothing. It is when you kiss your partner and feel like you are performing a scene in a play written by someone else. It is the profound anesthesia of the spirit. You have been led to believe that a crisis looks like a breakdown. You have been conditioned by movies and books to expect a dramatic climax, a shattering of glass, a screaming match, a collapse on the bathroom floor. But the soul does not always die with a scream. Often, it dies with a whimper. It retreats. It curls inward, creating a calcified shell around itself to survive the toxicity of an environment that demands you to be a machine, a consumer, a cog, anything but a human being. This script is not for those who are happy. It is not for those who are satisfied with the shallow distractions of the modern world. This is for you, the one who is functioning perfectly on the surface but rotting underneath. This is for the one who suspects with a terrifying certainty that the life you are living is not your own. We are going to perform an autopsy on your apathy. We are going to look at why you feel empty, why the things that used to bring you joy now taste like ash, and why this numbness is actually the most important signal you will ever receive. We are going to dismantle the lies of the system that keep you sedated. We will walk through the valley of the shadow of death, guided by the lanterns of Nietzsche, Kierkegaard, and Heidegger, to understand that this calling of your soul is not a disease to be cured with pills or positive thinking. It is a summons. It is a demand for a revolution of consciousness. Let us begin by looking at the architecture of your prison. You have done everything right, haven't you? You followed the map. You went to school, you got the job, you bought the things, you curated the social media profile. You ticked every box on the checklist of the American dream, or whatever cultural variant you subscribe to. You are, by all metrics of the system, a success, or at least a functional member of society. So why does it feel like you are suffocating? The modern world is designed to be an extraction machine. It extracts your time, your attention, and your energy, and in return, it gives you comfort. But comfort is not fulfillment. Comfort is the enemy of the soul. We live in an age of unprecedented convenience and unprecedented despair. We have traded meaning for dopamine. We have traded community for connectivity. We have traded the raw, dangerous adventure of being alive for the safe, sterile predictability of a subscription service. You wake up to an alarm you hate. You consume caffeine to jolt your nervous system into compliance. You commute through traffic or sit in front of a glowing screen for 8, 10, 12 hours, performing tasks that, deep down, you know are utterly meaningless in the grand scope of the cosmos. You are trading the only non-renewable resource you have, your time, for currency to buy things you don't need, to impress people you don't like, to numb the pain of losing your time. It is a snake eating its own tail, and the tragedy is that you are too exhausted to question it. This is by design. The system relies on your exhaustion. A tired soul is an obedient soul. A numb soul is a profitable soul. If you were fully alive, fully awake to the majesty and terror of existence, you would not be able to sit in that cubicle. You would not be able to endure the banality of modern consumerism. You would tear it down. So the system offers you anesthesia. It offers you Netflix, infinite scrolling, processed food, alcohol, pornography, and the endless pursuit of the next thing. But the soul knows. The soul is ancient. It does not care about your quarterly projections or your credit score. It cares about resonance. It cares about truth. And when you starve it of truth for too long, It goes into hibernation. This is the numbness you feel. It is a protective mechanism. Your psyche has dissociated from your daily life because your daily life has become unbearable to your spirit. You are sleepwalking because waking up would require you to burn your life to the ground. If this resonates, consider subscribing. This brings us to the twist, the reframe that changes everything. You think this numbness, this depression, this existential void is the problem. You think something is wrong with you because you can't just be happy like everyone else seems to be. You look at their smiles on Instagram and wonder where your defect lies. Here is the truth. The numbness is not the problem. The numbness is the symptom of a healthy soul reacting to a sick environment. To be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society is no measure of health. That is a paraphrasing of Krishnamurti, and it rings truer today than ever. Your sadness, your apathy, your feeling of, is this it? That is your sanity trying to break through. It is your inner wisdom screaming that you are not meant to live like a battery in a machine. The system wants you to pathologize your pain. It wants you to think you have a chemical imbalance, or a lack of gratitude, or a mindset issue. It wants you to go to therapy to fix yourself so you can get back to work. It wants to patch you up and send you back to the front lines of capitalism, but your soul is refusing to cooperate. It is going on strike. This is not a mental health crisis in the traditional sense. It is a spiritual crisis. It is what the mystics called the dark night of the soul. But in our secular materialist world, we have lost the language for this. We treat the soul's cry as a malfunction to be debugged rather than a message to be heeded. Think of physical pain. If you put your hand on a hot stove, you feel pain. Is the pain the problem? No, the pain is the messenger telling you to move your hand before you are destroyed. Your existential pain, your heavy heart, your lack of motivation, that is the heat. It is telling you that your current way of living is burning you alive. To numb the pain without moving your hand is suicide. Let's bring in the heavy artillery of philosophy to deconstruct this. We must look at Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche foresaw this era. He spoke of the last man. The last man is the ultimate product of a society that has prioritized comfort and safety above all else. The last man says, "We have invented happiness," and blinks. He has no great passion, no great striving, no stars left to give birth to. He is content in his small pleasures and his small securities. He is numb. Are you the last man? Have you traded your potential for greatness for a heated seat and a steady paycheck? Nietzsche warned us that the death of God, the collapse of overarching meaning structures, would lead to nihilism. This is where we are. We are drowning in nihilism, but we mask it with hedonism. We pretend that enjoying life is a purpose, but deep down, we know that pleasure is fleeting and leaves no trace. Søren Kierkegaard, the father of existentialism, identified this state as despair, but specifically, a type of despair where one is unaware of being in despair. This is the most dangerous kind. It is the person who claims to be happy, who goes through the motions but has no self. They are a collection of societal expectations, a mirror reflecting the crowd. They have lost themselves in the finite, in the trivialities of daily life, and have forgotten the infinite, the vast, terrifying possibility of their own existence. Heidegger called this the they, das Man. We fall into the they. We talk like they talk. We desire what they desire. We fear what they fear. We live inauthentically. We drift. And the price of this drifting is the loss of our own being. The saddest sign is the realization, often subconscious, that you have become a copy of a copy. You are living a life that could belong to anyone. If you died tomorrow, your job would be posted by the end of the week. Your routines would be picked up by someone else. You are interchangeable. And that realization is horrifying. So you repress it. You push it down into the basement of your psyche. But it doesn't stay there. It leaks out as this gray fog, this inability to feel. You are mourning your own life while you are still alive. Imagine a grand theater. The stage is set with beautiful props, a nice house, a shiny car, awards on the shelf. The lighting is perfect. The audience, your parents, your peers, society, is applauding. You are center stage, reciting your lines perfectly. You are the star of the show. But inside, you know the props are cardboard. You know the applause is canned. You know the script is terrible. And worst of all, you realize the doors to the theater are locked. You cannot leave the stage. You must keep acting until you collapse. This is the state of the modern soul. We are trapped in a performance. We have confused the map for the territory. We have confused the symbol of success with the feeling of meaning. You try to fill the void. This is the phase of false solutions. You feel the emptiness, so you try to stuff it. You buy the new phone. For a moment, the dopamine hits. You feel a spark of excitement, but it fades in a day. So you book the vacation. You go to the beach, you take the photos, you post them, living my best life. But as you stare at the ocean, that gnawing silence returns. The ocean is vast and eternal, and it makes you feel small and temporary. You order another drink to drown the thought. You turn to relationships. You demand that your partner complete you, that they distract you from yourself. You place the burden of your existential salvation on another flawed human being. And when they inevitably fail to be God, you resent them. Or you turn to hustle culture. You work harder. You think, if I just get to the next level, if I just make $1 million, then I will feel real. But the horizon always moves. The goalpost is on wheels. And let's not forget the spiritual bypassing, the good vibes only crowd, the toxic positivity that tells you to manifest your reality and ignore the shadows. This is perhaps the most insidious trap. It tells you that your darkness is a failure of manifestation rather than a fundamental part of the human condition. It shames you for your suffering. These are all anesthetics. They are attempts to silence the messenger, but the messenger is loyal. The soul will not stop screaming until you listen, and if you refuse to listen to the whispers of boredom, it will speak in the language of crisis. It will manifest as a panic attack, a sudden divorce, a reckless affair, a physical illness. The body keeps the score. The soul will burn down the house to get you out of it. If this resonates, consider subscribing. So, what is the new paradigm? What is the antidote to the anesthesia? It is not happiness. Happiness is a weather condition. It comes and goes. The goal is not happiness. The goal is aliveness. The goal is integrity. To heal, you must do the one thing you are most afraid to do. You must stop running. You must turn around and face the void. You must invite the silence in. You have to accept that your depression is actually a state of deep rest from the character you have been playing. The exhaustion comes from the weight of the mask. The mask is heavy. It takes an immense amount of energy to pretend to be something you are not. Day after day, year after year. Your soul is tired of the act. The new paradigm starts with the terrifying admission, I am not happy. I do not like my life. I am lost. This admission is the bedrock of transformation. As long as you are pretending, you are stuck. The moment you speak the truth, even if only to yourself in the dark, the lock on the cage clicks open. Truth is the only thing that cuts through the simulation. Heidegger spoke of being towards death. This sounds morbid, but it is life-affirming. It is the realization that your time is finite. You are going to die. This is the absolute truth. When you truly grasp this, not intellectually, but viscerally, the bullshit falls away. The opinions of others stop mattering. The need to impress the system vanishes. Why would you waste a single second of your limited existence doing something that makes your soul rot? Death is the great clarifier. The saddest sign of numbness is essentially a denial of death. We live as if we are immortal, delaying our true lives for a future that may never come. We say, I'll be happy when, I'll write that book when, I'll travel when. Schopenhauer described life as a pendulum swinging between pain and boredom. When we struggle to survive, we feel pain. When we secure our survival, we feel boredom. The modern world has solved the survival problem for many of us, so we are stuck in chronic, crushing boredom. To escape it, we invent artificial struggles, drama, status games, or artificial pleasures. But there is a third option, transcendence, creating meaning. You might be thinking, But I have bills to pay. I have children. I can't just quit my job and go live in a cabin in the woods, like Thoreau. I hear you. This is the voice of the system speaking through you. It uses responsibility as a shackle. I am not telling you to abandon your children. I am telling you that you are of no use to your children if you are a hollow shell. I am telling you that your responsibility to the system is often a mask for your cowardice to face the unknown. You can pay your bills and still be free. Freedom is not a location. It is a disposition. It is an internal state of non-attachment to the outcome. It is the ability to be in the world but not of it. You can sit in the meeting, do the work, and yet maintain a secret inner distance. You can refuse to let the system colonize your heart. Let me tell you a story. Let's call him Elias. Elias was 45. He was a senior architect at a prestigious firm. He had the corner office, the German car, the beautiful wife, the private school for the kids. He was the envy of his college friends. One Tuesday, Elias was driving to work. It was a gray morning. He stopped at a red light. He looked at the car next to him. Another man, in a similar suit, in a similar car, looking forward with dead eyes. Elias looked at his hands on the steering wheel. Suddenly, a wave of nausea hit him. Not physical nausea, but existential nausea. He realized he knew exactly how the next 20 years would go. He knew the meetings he would have. He knew the vacations he would take. He knew the conversations he would have at dinner parties. It was all scripted. He was a ghost haunting his own life. The light turned green. Elias didn't move. Cars honked behind him. The cacophony grew louder. Elias just sat there. Tears started streaming down his face. Not sobbing, just silent, hot tears. He felt an overwhelming urge to drive the car into the concrete median, just to feel something, just to break the pattern. He managed to pull over. He called his office and said he was sick. He drove to a park he hadn't visited since he was a child. He sat on a bench for 6 hours. He watched the wind move the trees. He watched a dog chase a ball. He realized he hadn't truly looked, at a tree in a decade. That day, Elias didn't quit his job. He didn't leave his wife, but he died. The Elias who was a senior architect died on that bench. The Elias who needed the approval of the system died. He went back to work the next day, but he was different. He was no longer playing the game. He started painting again in the evenings, something he gave up at 20. He started talking to his wife about his fears, breaking the shallow silence of their marriage. He stopped trying to climb the ladder. He found that by accepting the void began to fill with something else, presence. He realized that the numbness was just the clearing of the land before the new construction could begin. If this resonates, consider subscribing. This is the metaphor of transformation, the caterpillar. When a caterpillar enters the cocoon, it does not just grow wings, it completely dissolves. It turns into a primordial soup. It disintegrates. If you cut open a cocoon halfway through the process, you wouldn't find a half caterpillar, half butterfly. You would find goo. You are in the goo phase. The numbness, the confusion, the loss of identity, that is the disintegration. It is violent and it is necessary. You cannot carry the old ego into the new life. The system tells you that you must always be building, always growing. Nature tells you that sometimes you must dissolve. Embrace the decomposition. Stop trying to put the caterpillar back together. It's over. That version of you is dead. Let it go. The more you cling to the old identity, the more you suffer. The saddest sign is only sad if you try to fix it. If you accept it as a metamorphosis, it becomes a holy sign. So how do you inhabit this? How do you navigate the goo? First, you must learn to sit with the discomfort. This is the hardest instruction. When the urge to scroll comes, stop. Put the phone down. Feel the itch. Feel the boredom. Feel the anxiety rising in your chest. Observe it. Do not judge it. Say to yourself, I am feeling an urge to escape. And then, don't escape. Stare at the wall. Let the silence become deafening. In that silence, the repressed parts of your soul will start to speak. It will start with complaints. I'm bored. I'm lonely. I hate this. Let them speak. Then, deeper things will come. Memories, regrets, dreams you buried. This is active shadow work. You are reclaiming the parts of yourself you sold to the system. Second, disconnect from the feed. You need a digital detox, not for a weekend, but as a lifestyle. You are currently plugged into a matrix that feeds you fear and inadequacy to keep you buying. You cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. Curate your inputs ruthlessly. If it doesn't feed your soul, cut it off. Third, seek the sublime. The sublime is different from the beautiful. The beautiful is pleasant. The sublime is overwhelming. It is the thunderstorm, the vast mountain range, the starry night, the Gothic cathedral. The sublime reminds you of your insignificance, which paradoxically frees you. If you are small, your problems are small. If you are nothing, you are free to be anything. Go into nature. Not to take photos, but to witness. Touch the moss. Smell the dirt. Biology is the antidote to technology. You are an animal, not a user profile. Reconnect with your biology. Fourth, embrace amor fati, the love of fate. This is Nietzsche's formula for greatness. Do not just bear what is necessary, but love it. Love your numbness. Love your crisis. It is yours. It is the raw material of your life. Do not wish for a different life. Take this one, this broken, gray, numb life, and use it as fuel. The twist comes full circle here. The saddest sign, the numbness, is actually the beginning of your liberation. It is the moment the chains become visible. As long as you were enjoying the distraction, you were a prisoner who loved his cell. Now that the distraction has failed, now that you see the bars, you can plan your escape. The system fears the depressed person who wakes up. It fears the one who stops consuming. It fears the one who looks at the advertisement and feels nothing. It fears the one who is no longer motivated by the carrot or the stick. That person is dangerous. That person is free. Your soul is not asking for help because it is weak. It is asking for help because it is strong enough to finally reject the poison. It is clearing the deck. Do not rush this process. Do not try to hack your way to enlightenment. Just be. Be with the nothingness. For in the nothingness, creation happens. The universe was created from a void. You are being recreated. So the next time you feel that crushing weight of silence, the next time you look in the mirror and don't recognize the eyes staring back, do not despair. Do not force a smile. Do not numb it with wine or entertainment. Stand your ground in the darkness. Light a candle, metaphorically or literally, and wait. The feeling is not the end. It is the threshold. You are standing at the door of the real. Most people will turn back. They will run back to the comfort of the illusions. They will double down on the distractions. They will die as copies. But you are still reading. You are still listening, which means a part of you is already on the other side. The saddest sign is only sad if you ignore it. If you heed it, it becomes the call to adventure. It becomes the first breath of your true life. Wake up. The play is over. It is time to leave the stage. Let us go deeper. The numbness you feel is not just a barrier, it is a borderland. It is the demilitarized zone between who you were conditioned to be and who you actually are. But crossing this border requires us to confront the ghosts that patrol it. The most terrifying ghost is not death itself, but the specific terror of a life unlived. We need to talk about the arithmetic of regret. There is a palliative care nurse named Bronnie Ware who spent years sitting by the bedsides of people in their final weeks. She listened to the whispers of the dying. When the facade of the system crumbles, when the career is over, when the social climbing is done, and when the body is failing, the truth distills into a potent bitter nectar. She found that the regrets were not random. They were consistent. They were universal. The number one regret was this: I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Read that again. Let it sink into your marrow. This is exactly what your sadness is trying to prevent. That numbness you feel right now, that is a premonition. It is a time-traveling signal from your future deathbed, warning you that you are currently manufacturing your own biggest regret. You are building the architecture of your own despair, brick by obedient brick. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you lay a brick. Every time you stay in a job that drains your soul because it looks good on a resume, you lay a brick. Every time you silence your intuition to fit in with the they, you are cementing yourself into a mausoleum before you are even dead. The system, the matrix, the machine, whatever you want to call it, is terrified of this realization. It relies on your belief that you have infinite time. It relies on the tomorrow illusion. You tell yourself, I will pursue my passion later. I will fix my relationship later. I will find myself later. But Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, warned us 2,000 years ago. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. We act as if we are immortals. We spend our time as if it is cheap currency. But time is the only currency that cannot be printed. The system keeps you in a state of low-grade survival mode. It keeps you just stressed enough to be focused on the immediate, bills, deadlines, notifications, but not stressed enough to revolt. It keeps you just comfortable enough to fear change, but not comfortable enough to be at peace. It is a precise, calibrated frequency of misery. If this resonates, consider subscribing. Let's analyze the mechanism of this trap using the concept of the shadow by Carl Jung. Jung taught us that everything we deny in ourselves doesn't disappear. It goes into the shadow. If you deny your creativity to be a responsible corporate employee, your creativity doesn't die. It becomes a monster in the basement. It turns into bitterness. It turns into envy when you see others creating. It turns into self-sabotage. The saddest sign is your shadow leaking out. The numbness is the sheer weight of holding the door shut against the monsters you created by denying your own nature. You are exhausted because you are fighting a civil war inside your own psyche every single day. One part of you wants to be wild, free, and authentic. The other part, the part trained by school, parents, and society, is beating that wild part into submission. This internal war is what we call adulthood in the modern world. But it is not adulthood. It is domestication. You have been broken like a wild horse. The sadness in your eyes is the look of a creature that remembers the open plains but has accepted the fence. But here is the provocative truth. The fence is imaginary. This is where we turn to Albert Camus and the myth of Sisyphus. Sisyphus was condemned by the gods to roll a boulder up a hill for eternity, only to watch it roll back down. It is the ultimate metaphor for the modern grind, the commute, the email, the laundry, the sleep, the repeat. It is absurd. It is pointless. Camus argues that the moment Sisyphus walks back down the hill to retrieve the rock, he becomes superior to his fate. He realizes the absurdity. He accepts it, and in that acceptance, he finds a strange, defiant kind of freedom. One must imagine Sisyphus happy, Camus writes. Why? Because he is awake. You must look at your boulder, your job, your obligations, your routine, and realize it does not define you. You are the one pushing the rock, not the rock itself. You can push the rock with resentment, or you can push it with a secret inner smile, knowing that while your body is laboring, your mind is free. This is the beginning of the Great Refusal. The Great Refusal does not necessarily mean burning your house down, though for some it might. It means refusing to let the system colonize your internal world. It means refusing to value what they tell you to value. They tell you to value status, you choose to value connection. They tell you to value speed, you choose to value slowness. They tell you to value consumption, you choose to value creation. They tell you to value certainty, you choose to value mystery. This is a quiet rebellion. It is executed in the silence of your own heart. It is the decision to stop outsourcing your validation. Let's talk about the algorithm. We cannot discuss the modern soul without discussing the digital cage. You are fighting a battle against supercomputers designed to hack your dopamine receptors. The numbness you feel is partly dopamine burnout. You have overstimulated your brain so much with cheap hits of digital pleasure that you have become desensitized to the subtle joys of real life. A sunset cannot compete with a 15-second viral video designed by a billion-dollar AI to keep you scrolling. A conversation with a friend cannot compete with the slot machine mechanic of refreshing your notifications. You are an addict. We all are. And the substance is distraction. The saddest sign is withdrawal. Your soul is withdrawing from the artificial stimulation, asking for real nourishment. But you keep feeding it Skittles when it needs steak. You keep feeding it pixels when it needs presence. To reclaim your soul, you must become indistractable. You must treat your attention as a sacred resource. The system wants your attention because your attention is the raw material for their ad revenue. When you reclaim your attention, you are committing an act of economic theft against the matrix. Try this. Sit in a room for 30 minutes with no phone, no book, no music, just you. The first 5 minutes will be boring. The next 10 minutes will be agonizing. You will feel the itch, the phantom vibration in your pocket. But if you push through past the 20-minute mark, something shifts. The brain settles. The mud settles in the water. Clarity begins to emerge. In that clarity, you will remember who you were before the world told you who to be. You might remember a childhood passion. You might realize you are in the wrong career. You might realize you are in love with someone else. This clarity is dangerous. That is why the system offers you infinite scroll, to prevent you from the dangerous 30 minutes of silence that could change your life. If this resonates, consider subscribing. Now, let's address the fear. You are afraid that if you listen to this sadness, if you really open that door, you will fall apart. You are afraid you will become dysfunctional. I can't afford an existential crisis right now. I have a mortgage. The irony is that you are already dysfunctional. You are functioning as a machine, but failing as a human. And the longer you wait, the higher the interest rate on that debt becomes. Epicurus, the philosopher of pleasure, but not the hedonism you think, taught that the root of suffering is the fear of death and the fear of the gods, judgment. In modern terms, we fear the death of our social identity and the judgment of our peers. We are terrified of being seen as failures. But what is failure? Is it failure to not be a CEO? Is it failure to not be rich? Or is failure arriving at the end of your life and realizing you were a stranger to yourself? We need to redefine success. Success is not accumulation. Success is alignment. Success is when your outside matches your inside. Success is when you no longer have to lie to get through the day. Let's go back to the metaphor of the goo, the transformation. When the caterpillar dissolves, it uses imaginal cells. These are cells that hold the blueprint of the butterfly. At first, the caterpillar's immune system attacks these cells. It sees them as foreign invaders. The old self fights the new potential. This is exactly what is happening when you feel guilt for resting, when you feel selfish for setting boundaries. That is your old immune system attacking your imaginal cells. It is the old programming trying to kill the new consciousness. You must protect the imaginal cells. You must nurture the parts of you that are weird, soft, intuitive, and inefficient. The system hates inefficiency, but the soul thrives in it. Love is inefficient. Art is inefficient. Grief is inefficient. Joy is inefficient. Be inefficient. Waste time on beauty. Stare at the clouds. Write poetry that no one will read. Cook a meal slowly. These are acts of war against a culture that demands you to be a robot. And remember the concept of amor fati. Love your fate. This numbness is your fate right now. Do not hate it. Do not wish it away. Ask it, what are you here to teach me? Treat the depression as a master teacher who has entered the room. You don't kick the master out. You sit at their feet and listen. The master is saying, this life is too small for you. The master is saying, you are starving for depth. The master is saying, it is time to go home. Home is not a place. Home is the return to your own center. It is the reclamation of your sovereignty. You might have to disappoint people. You might have to change your lifestyle. You might have to lose some friends who only like the masked version of you. Let them go. They were never friends with you. They were friends with your performance. The people who are meant to be in your life will love the real you, the messy you, the awakening you. You will find a new tribe. A tribe of others who have also looked into the void and decided to build a home there. We are living in a time of mass awakening. You are not alone in this feeling. Millions are waking up with this same sadness, the same emptiness. It is a collective shift. The old structures are crumbling not just in the world, but inside of us. We are molting. The saddest sign is only the beginning. It is the crack in the egg. It hurts to break the shell. It is terrifying to leave the warmth of the womb. But the alternative is to die inside the shell. So here is your instruction for tomorrow morning. When you wake up, before you check the phone, before you drink the coffee, take 3 minutes. Lie in bed and ask yourself, if I was not afraid of anyone's judgment, what would I do today? Maybe you can't do that thing today, but just asking the question opens a window. It lets a breeze of fresh air into the stale room of your mind. Keep opening that window, day by day, inch by inch, until one day you realize you are no longer looking out the window. You have walked through the door. You are not broken. You are waking up. The sadness is the birth pangs of the new you. Push.